I want a Ferrari, nigga. It's a Carreras.
All right, I'm gonna start us off. All right, y'all, what's going on? This is the Highly Advised podcast. I'm sitting here with my friends. We got Lau, St. Kitch, aka Spence.
You.
AKA, what's Lau's nickname, nigga?
Bitch ass
Lau.
hoe. That's your nickname. That's what it is. Like,
Ah, your nickname is Lau, bro. Now,
you can tell them your full name if you want.
Now, what's your social, man? Bro, your nickname is motherfucking Lau. That's what we gonna call you. Right?
How are y'all doing this week?
I'm alive.
Okay.
And I,
What are you,
and
50
I,
Cent? I wake up, I'm alive.
I'm alive. My family is good. You know, we got hella money. You know, we can still laugh. We can still be entertained by nonsense and good things. I can't complain. But I'm also complaining. I'm sick of this shit.
Are you getting bored? Have you gotten to the point where you're just ready to leave and do anything?
No, I haven't got to that point yet. But I'm like, okay, you know, I'm about to start doing even more shit than what I'm doing, because if not, I'm gonna pull my fucking hair out.
Why haven't you started your new YouTube yet? That's what I'm wondering about. What's the holdup?
There is no.
Why are you being lazy?
Yeah, lazy. So, there's a good friend of mine that you know, Nigel and Spence. You haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. We've been talking about it, and one of the things that we wanted to do, really, because he's into streaming, and that he's been doing that now. He's been putting his money towards that. I wanted to help him, you know, with the whole promoting his streams and all that, but also try to do some advertisements and stuff like that, because his idea is, you know, he wants to start trying to get like some type of sponsorships and all that. And I was like, well, we gotta put ourselves out there if that's really what you want. You know what I mean? Streaming at home where nobody knows that you're streaming, nobody ain't gonna give you no sponsorships or anything like that, because they don't know who you are.
I think that's the hardest part of like actually doing all this, whether it be the podcast or like actually trying to like put your streaming out there or anything like that. It's just actually putting your name out there. Speaking of which, the person who did the intro music is my friend Gervais. Check him out on SoundCloud, Gervais, Gervais. It's a cool dude.
That joint is hard too.
Shouts out to him. But
how are you doing, Spence?
I'm good. I'm just trying to get through this week, yo. It's my last week.
Jesus. Y'all sound like I'm alive. I'm just trying to get through the week. Like, damn, all right.
Bro, I'm about to graduate. Like, I'm about to be done. So, like, it's just like this is the last week. This is literally the last week of like I just got finished with classes. So, like, this is my last week of college.
Okay.
So, like, it's when I say I'm trying to get through it, it's just like it's just shit. It's just a ton of work to just try to push through.
Y'all listen to any new music while y'all are doing your things? Y'all listen to the new Drake?
Of course, man. Of course we listen to it, man. I think, you know, it's, even though it's not an album and it's just kind of like a bunch of demos, some leaks that we already heard a couple months ago. It's a superb project. There's only one song on there I really didn't like. I don't think it's album of the year. I still think Pray for Paris got that, or The Price of Tea from China. But I think nevertheless is a definitely good project. And right now it's probably like 90% better of the other rap projects, you know, that came out. And I said 90%, so the 10%, you know, there's room for other projects. But right now, I think Drake is, you know, he's letting people know he's coming this summer, because he said the album dropping too. But one thing, before we really start breaking down this album, I think like the number one song off of it, which was also the most anticipated song, was Pay 1993. And I actually like that song. I told Spence, that's my favorite song off this project. I really like it because of Drake, but I also really wish that he left Playboi Carti off of it.
Really?
Yeah,
I
because
thought you was a Cardi fan.
I had a feeling you weren't gonna
no,
like his verse.
I am a Cardi fan. I do, and I think Die Lit is like one of the hardest albums of all time, just to vibe to. But like I was telling you guys like 2 weeks ago, I'm like expecting a different type of Cardi. I'm expecting that 2015, 2016 Playboy Cardi, right, where he's actually using his fucking voice. When he does that baby voice and trying to be like Young Thug, it's killing it for me, and I'm like. I'm not so confident on a whole lot of red when I keep hearing more of that shit.
It sounds like you don't like it when he's actually rapping.
He's
Yeah.
not. He's not. He's not rapping though. That's the thing.
He's rapping more
That
than he was.
you're right. He was, but like, I think
He's
I think what's killing me is that baby voice shit.
seeing a lot of success with the baby voice though.
Yeah, but it's just so bizarre because that's not what that brought him to the dance. You know what I mean? I
I
think
feel you.
the baby voice thing is kind of like it's his diehard fans kind of like, oh, you know what? He's changing the game with this one. And realistically, come on, like, are you guys going to be jamming Baby Voice Cardi in your cars on the way to work or on the way to,
But
a shorty's crib or something like? You're not.
we aren't. But you gotta think about it. His demo probably like what?
Loves the
Like
shit.
like his demo is probably what 17 to 22.
Yeah.
Yo, a 17-year-old kid, like, bro, I was probably listening to like some flagrant stuff going to a girl crib that, like today, that I would say that someone that's older than me probably is like, what? I remember I played Best Friend for my mom once, right? And I was like, yo, this song is like one of the hottest songs right now. I played that shit for her. She was like, what is he saying? I knew every word to that song. That's the same way with Cardi fans. And Best Friend was like probably one of Thug's best songs to me.
Yeah. I think that's the song that kind of like put him on the map as a solo artist. Because
Yeah,
remember he was part of that Rich Gang bullshit. And,
that's
and then before that, he was with Gucci. So,
yeah.
yeah, that song really broke him out. But overall, though, like I said, I think I like the album. There's just one song on there I didn't like, which was D4L. Other than that, I thought everything else was, it was solid. What do you guys think of it?
I actually like that song. I think the only song I really didn't like was what was it, Demons? I think I could have did
What?
without that.
What?
It,
What?
it just to me it just was like it was cool. I mean, like I don't know, I just wasn't really the biggest fan of it. Like maybe like I'm not gonna say it's like the worst song ever. It's just not really my favorite song. I really like Desire still. I mean, that's still like my favorite song. But yeah, now I can't really say I hate any of the songs. I just don't particularly like that one. That's all.
That's crazy. I thought Divas is one of the hardest joints on there.
Hey man,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah. I was gonna say like I listened to. I didn't listen to the whole. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet because like I've been busy with just trying to get a bunch of work done yesterday. But I've listened to most of it. Like I like Desires. Desire is probably one of my favorite songs from that project so far. But I listened to Desires like months ago.
Yeah.
But I was hoping he was gonna put out the Life is Good, the second version of Life is Good, the future version.
Yep.
But like, because the future was talking flagrant in that song. He literally told Shorty like, if you die today, you won't save me nothing but drama.
Jesus.
how how can I show love for you if you're not kneeling at my feet? Like,
Jesus.
yeah. But now, like Drake, I was hoping Drake was gonna get us with that one, but he didn't. But so far though, I would say my favorite song would have to be "Losses."
Yeah, that song's good. I like the song.
That's a good song. Yeah, Losses is good. You know what other song I think that was good? Was it Live from Florida or some shit like that?
The song's a good song too.
From
It's
Florida with Love.
Yeah, from Florida with Love. So Pain 1993 is produced by Pierre. And that song from Florida with Love is produced by Mexico Dro. And those two niggas are like the producers of the SoundCloud rap. Like they're what started that whole wave. And I thought that was crazy. And they both got popping off of Playboy Cardi.
Hold on. So the that's the
Mex-
song with Kobe, right? That he talks about Kobe, right?
Yeah. He talks about Kobe
Yeah.
in there.
Damn, that was from like a SoundCloud producer.
Yeah, Mexico Dro.
Damn,
Yeah,
damn.
and then they had a falling out and then Playboy Cardi, him and Pierre started getting in, and that's how Pierre is like one of the biggest producers in the rap game right now.
That's crazy. I didn't even know any. I didn't know anything about any of that.
YouTube, man, YouTube will show you a lot of shit. Like the Drake though thing, like you think that's gonna carry the summer though? Like until his album drops. That's what I mean. Not carry the whole summer, but carry him over till his album drops. Or you think that's just gonna be kind of like, all right, for about like a solid month and it's over?
I think it'll last for like a month. That's what I'll say. But I think people are looking for things. And I think because nobody has anything to do, people are going to listen to this album and they're probably going to listen to it a decent bit. And then they're going to want something else. It's not like everybody's outside listening to all types of things. Like we kind of got to, whenever we get the new things, we're hopping on it and then it's over.
I think a lot of music right now, people don't even want to listen to the new music because a lot of new music that comes out right now is made for being outside.
That's true too.
Like I know like I'll be honest with you, like being in quarantine and really saying like, okay, like I still got like other responsibilities. So like handling those responsibilities and being in quarantine, like I don't really want to listen. Like I tried playing the Drake album and I was just like, or tape, and I was just like, yo, I don't really feel like listening to this. Like I'm not in the setting. I was like, yo, maybe I have to go for a drive to really get into some of this new music. Like I still haven't listened to the Baby's project, and I wanted to check that out. That's all you had to say then.
It sounds like a good time to start listening to some Currency. We know you hate him,
bro.
You have a track record of hating Currency on the podcast now, so that's a thing.
Yo, you gotta chill, man. He's trying to paint me as the villain, man. Like, nah. I think he got. I listened to the new song that him and Larry June put out though.
Well, I haven't heard it yet. What were you?
Well, you don't have Apple Music, so.
Yeah, that is true. I probably don't have access to it. I guess you're right.
Yeah, you gotta wait.
Forever YouTube, right?
Yeah.
What were you gonna say about Tory Lanez, Spence?
Well, speaking of Forever YouTube, so you know how he was doing quarantine radio, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So now he took quarantine radio and he has a deal with YouTube. He brought quarantine radio to YouTube now.
Really?
Oh, that's crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Like I don't really know the specifics of the deal, but it was just something that popped up. It's something that popped up recently, and I started looking into it. But he did a whole like a 2-hour show for like the first episode. It was live too on YouTube. And the wild part was I went to Twitter to look at some of the comments about it. And because I don't really trust comments on like YouTube really? Comments. Yeah, I don't trust YouTube comments like that.
They're funny as hell, bro. I love them.
Yeah, they are hilarious.
They are hilarious. I'm not even gonna hold you. Speaking of that, like not to derail too far, but about YouTube comments. So I started looking at all these old Joe Budden videos recently, right?
Okay.
I was watching a video where he talked about creating a podcast before he ever did his podcast, right? So I'm reading the comments and I read this comment that's like, Joe, hey, I'm here from the future. I just want to let you know, that podcast I did, it actually worked out, bro. I know you're sitting across from Tahiri and you think that's going to be your girl, but you're going to meet a chick that's even better. And she's going to bring you the heir to your throne, da-da-da, right? So I'm looking and I'm like, it's got like mad likes. It's got like maybe 10 or 15 comments underneath of it. Because I'm like, this comment didn't age well. Sometimes I'll go and click on the person's profile. Why did I click on a person's profile and it was fucking me from 2 years ago?
Wow. Wow. Did you take a screenshot of that?
Nah.
Oh, I was man. Yeah, you got to find it. You got to find it again, man.
Bro, it's like the top rated comment on that video.
That's crazy.
It was and like I'm reading the comments. I was like, yo, this dude. I was like, yo, I see. Part of me is like, yo, I like what the guy did here. I was like, but this didn't age as well as he thought. And then I'm like, yo, let me see what this person. I was like, whoever this was probably had too much time on their hands. I clicked the link, and it's my fucking YouTube page. I'm like, yo, I did send this out 2 years 2 years ago.
That's funny, bro.
Someone commented underneath of him was like, yo, well, I'm here from even more future, and just stick to the podcast, bro. everything else, everything else that dude said didn't really work out, but the podcast that actually becomes a good thing.
I heard that Tory Lanez also got an offer from MTV as well. Well, I think they gave him an offer, and I think he turned it down for some reason. I'm not sure exactly as to why.
I don't think MTV would have been a good look for him though.
Nah,
Yeah,
I think
I agree. I
MTV
don't think it would have been.
I think MTV is a dying platform for shows in the first place. Like if you want a show and you want it to be successful, I don't think that MTV is the place to go. I think you're better off with YouTube where people have more access to it anyway.
Yeah. I think to me it's less about access, it's more about like patrolling it, like censorship more of.
It's fair enough too.
For instance, like when they like you could watch if you miss quarantine radio, right? On YouTube, you can literally go on not on YouTube but on Instagram. You can literally go on YouTube and look up like whatever happened and be like, yo, let me watch yesterday's episode of Quarantine Radio. Everything that he was doing there was like permissible. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna just go do the same thing. I can do the same thing, but here. But now he's actually doing shows. And I don't blame him. It was probably a smarter idea to go with YouTube for multiple reasons, but this is the kicker. So when you do videos, right? People can like you go live on YouTube, people can donate money.
Yes.
There's like he must have collected like maybe $10,000 or $20,000 doing that live show. Like people were donating money, sending donations into him while he was going live.
Donations.
Yeah, I was like, Dr. Umar Johnson would probably be pissed right now. It's kind of like you remember like, when we
right?
Exactly.
I guess so. Like I've never used Twitch.
As you're going on throughout your recording, people can just give you money. They can just put in a super chat or something along those lines, and they can just give you money as you're going along.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like that then. Because it was probably like last week I saw, I think the World Health Organization or one of those type of companies, they raised like $3.7 million on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, because what they did was they did a rock, paper, scissors tournament on one YouTuber's channel. It was like a couple different YouTubers were working pretty much to build these funds to donate the money to victims of the virus right now, or help with like nurses or whatever the case may be to get like the PPE necessary. So that donation thing, it works out. Maybe that's where Dr. Umar Johnson needs to go, honestly.
I was thinking the same thing. You might as well.
Yeah, he probably pick up way more money that way. I should message him and tell him that.
You should.
Do you think that now we're about a week out from the fights, we should give our predictions for UFC 249?
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah, let's do it.
Does anybody have the fight card in front of them?
Yeah, I'll ring it off. So
before you start that, I'm gonna take a list of who chooses who for these fights, so we can come back to this later on and say who fucked up with their predictions.
I guess.
Wow. Are you still using the Verdict app, Nigel, for the fight?
Yes, I am.
Hold on, what's it? Is it like gambling or no?
The Verdict app is becoming like a credible source for scoring. So, like for example, when John Jones and Dominic Reyes fought, media websites they use the Verdict as kind of like what the fans thought of how the fights were judged. And actually, on Verdict, John Jones was winning by like point something percent over Dominic Reyes.
Really? What's the name of the app, Law?
It's Verdict MMA.
So John Jones still won the fight, even by the fans' decision, essentially. Well, yes, based on Verdict.
Yeah, according to Verdict, the thousands of fans that go on there, they, majority thought John Jones won the fight.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do live round scoring and everything like that. So.
And they have an Instagram page, verdict.mma.
Oh, there you go. So you can download the app, sign up for it, and start predicting fights through there. They got 3 fights up now because, the UFC just announced 3 fight cards.
I'm going to have to actually use this because that should actually be pretty good. I know we gotta make our predictions, but I don't know if y'all saw real quick because we're talking about music. Next week is the newest battle: Erica Badu versus Joe Scott. Since we
Yeah,
making
yeah.
since we making predictions, who you got?
I think Erica Badu beats her soundly. Not to say that Jill Scott is, any slouch, but I think Erica Badu just has more firepower when it comes to the type of she just has more firepower, just straight up.
Yeah,
Yep, I agree with you.
yeah. I gotta go with Erica also. I wanted to go with Jill, but Jill made a lot of great music, but her career wasn't as long. Well, not I'm not even gonna say career as long, but I think over the span of her career, I think Erica Badu just put out more better music in term or more popular music, to say
I
the
feel like
least.
she's more iconic than Jill too, and it's not a
Absolutely.
knock. It's not a knock on Jill because she's very credible. She's a legitimate artist to work with, and she makes good music. It's just Erica Badu is just
Erica
it's
Badu.
Yeah, she's just
yeah,
Erica Badu, like.
Bro, Erica Badu selling her pussy on Instagram.
and it's
Like,
sold out.
yeah. And she literally said, "Hey, I'm restocking up on her pussy has incense. Hey, I'm restocking. Restocking. Better hurry up before it sells." At that moment, you realize there's levels to this in terms of like that icon type of living. So, but yeah, so I think it's fair to say we all go with Erica. Let's start at the prelims. Like, I want to know what y'all predictions are, right?
You want to just do
Well,
a lightning round for the prelims?
Yeah,
no, I think Donald Cerrone is going to win. I'm gonna just get that fight out the way.
right.
Anthony Pettis is a bum. He's always been a he, he's always been a bum, and
Yo,
I
he
and
hates Anthony Pettis. I don't
Uh,
understand why.
he's never he's and I told Nigel, I was like, man, this guy is not that fucking great. He's not. And Nigel, he's rooted for him when Anthony Pettis was on the Wheaties box. Nigel went out to the store, got that box. And I'm like, yo, man. And I'm like, yo, man, don't. I'm like, this guy's
Oh
full of
God.
smoke, man. Like this guy. That's not when
Yo,
he lost to Clay Guida. I was like, yeah, man, this Clay Guida exposed him, and I'm like, I know a lot of people are not going to see it yet, but he kind of exposed them. And look, what do you know? He is a UFC level fighter. Let me get that out the way because he is. You don't beat Ben Henderson twice in his prime, and you're some type of you don't belong. He does belong in UFC. Is he a top 10 fighter? You could say, okay, maybe 9 or 10. He's not a top 5 fighter. He's not that good. Honestly, I see Cerrone just whacking him. When he knocked out Stephen Wonderboy, I was just like, it was a match made in heaven for him because one, he's faster than Stephen Wonderboy. And Wonderboy, he's not an aggressive fighter. At that point, when he fought, what's his name, Vincent Luque, whatever like that, in his last fight, he definitely fought a lot more aggressively. But Wonderboy wasn't really fighting like that before he got knocked out by Anthony Pettis. I think his time is over. When Nate Diaz spanked him, I was like, yeah, man, this guy's done. And I think that, and also he lost to some fucking bomb afterwards.
yo,
How is
you
he?
really hate this
Yeah,
dude.
he just really just doesn't like him.
So I see Cerrone winning. I don't see Cerrone finishing him. If he does, it'll be like a late TKO type of deal. But I see Cerrone winning.
Me, I gotta go with Anthony Pettis because I know that granted that fight was in January, but and this is his first fight since January, but I think he may need a little bit more time off to figure out if he wants to keep fighting. To say like I feel like when a fighter, definitely a fighter of his caliber that's been fighting for so long, his tradition in fighting is fighting as soon as possible. Like as long as I keep fighting, I'm always good to fight. I think he's probably coming close to that retirement age. Unfortunately for you, La, I gotta go with Anthony Pettis. I know you hate him.
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. The problem with Cerrone, and you made a great point with this, is the guy fights way too often.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's been his downfall for some fights. Like he's just, I think with this, he should have never took this fight now. I think he should have waited a little longer. Win or lose, all right, 2 months, I'm back in there. And he even said in the interview, I think it was with Brett Okamoto, he was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead asked Dana if I could fight 2 or 3 days later at the next card. Kind of like, come
What?
on, man. Yeah,
Dude, that like don't get me wrong, that was impressive at a moment in time,
yeah,
but that's also he was older. He was younger, I mean, like and with no disrespect, like I know I'm saying like ever since he had his son, it changed him, which I can understand. Like having a child can change from what I hear, it can change you as a person. His love for fighting I'm quite sure his son is a motivation for him to fight. At the same time, I think him taking fights back to back, we don't see damage right now, but I'm afraid that he may end up having a lot of damage down the line because he's fighting back to back. Some of these fights, he's getting hit. He's
yeah,
taking some hits, and he may still win the fight, or he may lose the fight and go and fight again.
yeah.
So I'm hoping he does take a break after this fight. I hope Dana tells him no, and he takes a break because I think it was I can see him. Was it? I think it was Masvidal he fought that he got clipped in, and I think
Yeah, he
that's
got clipped
when
real bad in that fight. It was
Yeah.
he damn near got knocked out.
yeah, and that's when Dana was like, "Yo, yeah, I told Cowboy you can't fight. You can't fight." That's just like Michael Bisping saying the same thing. When Michael Bisping came out recently and admitted like, "Yo, I wish I didn't take that. I wish I didn't take a fight like right after the GSP fight." Like,
Yeah, that was silly of him to do
It was a
that because
mistake.
yeah,
yeah, he definitely wasn't prepared to fight
it
Gaslam.
exactly, and like I think the same goes for Cerrone because win or loss, like you said, he's gonna want to fight again. So,
Mm.
but
So here's the thing about the fight. I think that Donald Cerrone is going to win. I think that they both have a style of fighting to where they benefit from not having somebody who's a more or less somebody who can more or less put the pressure on them.
right,
The thing is that I feel that Donald Cerrone is more lethal with his striking than Anthony Pettis is. I think that he has more of a chance of hitting him with something hard and maybe not knocking him out cold, but putting him away earlier in the fight than Anthony Pettis does to him. I think Anthony Pettis has a little bit more of a chance of just hitting him more, but Donald Cerrone is going to hit him and possibly end the fight. Donald Cerrone doesn't have anything else to prove. I think the chances of him winning a title at this point in time are very slim. If he moves up to welterweight, it doesn't do anything for him. I think just go out on your retirement tour. Maybe go on one last run and then call it a day.
Yeah,
yeah, I think only way I think he shouldn't retire is if one, I think he should take a break after this fight, win or loss, and maybe have that conversation, being that the UFC is kind of on stilts right now, and see if Dana and like the partners of the UFC actually are considering, but they don't want to tell people about opening a new weight class. Because if they open up a new
mm.
weight, because I when you think about it, like a lot of people have said this before, I think either him or Connor would be the king of 163 or 165. Like,
Yeah,
so if that's possible, I would talk to Dana to see if that's something that a viable option that they may install in the next coming year. Because if so, it may make sense for him to stay around and just say, "Yo, I'm gonna put myself on ice just so I can preserve myself to fight for something like that." But otherwise, and that probably won't happen. I agree with what Nigel was saying. Like, it's better for him just to fight, just to go on a retirement tour, and maybe have a couple more fights, and that's it. Maybe fight someone that he really wants to fight since he's finally had a chance to fight Connor. So what's your thoughts on like Olenek and we're doing?
I think. Ooh, I forgot about that. That's a good fight. I think we're doomed. He should win that because one, he's a better skilled heavyweight. He's beaten better people, and his Brazilian jiu-jitsu is off the charts. Now, mind you, before Stipe Miocic, Werdum was the heavyweight champion of the world, and he beat Cain Velasquez, who was deemed the Terminator. This guy could walk through anybody. Nobody could stop him. Well, guess who stopped him? Werdum in brutal fashion. So Werdum was the man. He was the guy. Unfortunately, he got caught for, quote unquote, contaminated supplements. He probably was juicing because all Brazilians do. And I think No, even fucking
I'm not knocking
Anderson
it.
Silva got caught for juicing, man. So, same thing with Junior Dos Santos, and I like Dos Santos, even though he's been getting knocked out a lot lately. If we're talking about Olenek from the early 2000s, I think it would have been a much better matchup. But two, I think he's just too old. I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were all at Nigel's house watching the Connor fight, Olenek was fighting this Nigerian guy. And the Nigerian guy, he was doing kind of well. He had what's that choke that he's really well known for, Nigel?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the guy got caught up in that choke, and Olenek was able to put him away. And but outside of that, skill for skill, Werdum is he's better all around, and that's why I'm picking Werdum, despite the fact he's coming off a layoff too.
Yeah, I got Werdum. He's just better on the ground, and I feel like he's just a better fighter overall. I got Werdum in that one.
Yeah, I gotta go with Werdum. Like, I think you kind of touched a lot of the points that I would think of making. At first, I thought it may be an age disparity, but it's not. Like, both these dudes are 42 years old. After age comes out the way, it becomes about skill set.
Yeah,
and the skill set is just vastly different between these two fighters. Granted, Olenek has done pretty well overall in certain aspects of the UFC, but Werdum is Werdum. He's who he is at the end of the day. Span versus Alvey.
So Alvey, to me, he's not that great.
I got Span.
Same here. I got Span. Esparza versus Michelle Waterson.
Man, I love Michelle Waterson. I love her so much, and I was rooting for her against Joanna. I think Waterson can win this one. It's just Carla Esparza. She got that wrestling, and she got that kind of like, she's not super duper skilled, but she's so like gritty and tough that she can pull out a decision. Mm-hmm. So I think I got Waterson, but it's I won't be surprised if Esparza pulls out a decision.
Yeah, I actually think I got Michelle Waterson in this one. I think she can do enough to win. I don't think Carla Esparza is skilled enough to be Michelle Waterson in this fight.
Yeah, same here. I got to go with Michelle Waterson also. To me, I think it's just her track record and just skill level. I think for me is what's really making the point for me. So what about Hall versus Souza?
Jacare.
I think Jacare finishes them by submission in a second.
I gotta go with I'm going with Jacare. I don't know. I think I'm gonna just go with Jacare. I don't know if I can make a decision on what round. If I had to, it may be a submission in the third round, if anything. And like Uriah Hall just never lived up to the hype. So like now we got like these two other fights. I don't know any of these guys, but like you got Luque versus Price.
I'm gonna go with Nico Price.
That's a good fight, man. That's
a good
fight.
Oh, really?
I like Nico Price.
I'm actually gonna go with Vincent Luque.
Yeah. I don't really know either fighter like that, so I'm gonna just go with Nico. I'm gonna just go with Nico Price in this case because that's the consensus.
Just flip a coin, man.
Yeah. Hey, man, that coin could go to a donation, man. All right, to finish it off, it's Mitchell versus Rosa.
Who cares?
Who is it?
Mitchell versus Rosa.
Who cares?
Either.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know enough about them. I can't really say.
Same here. So, all right. So we got Castro versus Hardy. Greg Hardy. Exactly. You know who Hardy is.
Yeah, Greg Hardy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the one that. Anyway, I ain't even going to give him any like.
Because I don't know much about the other guy, I'm just gonna go with Greg Hardy. Honestly, like I don't know much about him, and I don't know his background enough to make a prediction on him.
Greg Hardy is gonna win, and I think it's because I don't know if you guys know, but Greg Hardy he fought Alexander Volkov on short notice, so I think it's like the UFC's way of kind of like, hey, you did us a favor, so we're gonna give you like a
freebie.
Freebie type of fight. And plus, it's good to help build him up anyway. I feel like he's kind of like a long-term thing for the UFC where they're trying to build him up. Don't keep putting him against top 5 heavyweights if they really want to see him succeed.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with Greg Hardy. I don't really care for him. So, personally, I would love for him to lose this fight. I can't let my bias reign too supreme. Like, I hope he loses. I really do. I really hope. I really hope he loses. I don't. I really don't want to see him like make it far. Well, I don't want to see him make it far in the UFC. I just don't. I just don't want him to win. I'll just leave it at
Yeah,
that.
Is it
yeah,
because of his
yeah.
background?
Yeah,
We don't
like
have to get too far into it, but
yeah, like I just don't respect any man that like put their hands on women. So
fair enough. I respect that.
yeah.
Yep.
Next we got Jeremy Stevens in Qatar.
I think Jeremy Stevens can win that fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if Qatar does win that fight. So I'm going to go with Qatar on this one.
I think Jeremy, he's been getting some bad breaks. He's been fighting some tough guys like Jose Aldo and stuff like that. And when you're fighting guys like that, if you're not on your A game, you're going to be losing. And
Right.
I feel like he's fighting a guy like in Qatar who's a tough opponent. And I think this is a fight that Jeremy can bounce back from. He's not worried about. I mean, he's not going against somebody who's in, the top 5 of the division or whatever. It's a winnable fight for Jeremy. Now, if Jeremy does lose this fight, which I don't think he will, we got to start talking about retirement for him because he's been fighting for a very, very long time.
I think with Jeremy Stevens, I think if he does win this fight, I see him knocking Qatar out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with personally. I'm gonna have to go with Jeremy Stevens. I don't know much about Qatar at all. Who has Qatar beat?
He beat Shane Burgos, so I'm not sure if you know who that is.
Shane Burgos, he's just, he's another guy that, young in his career. I think Qatar, he just lost to Zabit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Zabit's
he
no
did.
slouch though.
That's why I said, Qatar, he's pretty tough. He's not there yet, and that's why I think Jeremy, still going to win because I think he's going to get him with the experience.
All right, so next we got Ngannou versus Rosenstrike.
So me and Lau differ on opinion on this fight. Go ahead, Lau. I'll let you speak on it first.
I got Ngannou first round knockout. I think Rosenstrike. I think he's a good heavyweight fighter. He definitely deserves to be in the top 10 of heavyweights. And a lot of people have to remember, he did take that Overeem fight on short notice, I think, because of the whole situation with Walt Harris with his daughter. But at the same time, you seen the clear skill gap between him and Overeem before he got the grace from God knockout in the final seconds of the 5th round. And I feel like when Ngannou, it's not going to take that long with Rosenstrike. And remember, Ngannou lifted Overeem off his feet. So the fact that
Yeah, he made that man into a Pez dispenser, yo.
yeah, basically. So I think Ngannou, man, we're looking at the next guy to fight for the heavyweight title after DC and Stipe.
I think Rosenstrike could easily win this fight. I'm honestly, my opinion is different because they both have serious power in their hands. Like those might be the two hardest punches in the heavyweight division right now. Rosenstrike is just putting people out and just Lau disagrees. Rosenstrike is going around knocking people out, and while the last 5 seconds of the Overeem fight, he did knock him out. Let's not forget that he did take the fight on late notice. So I'll give him a little bit of leeway because of that. I guess with that being said, who I actually choose for the fight, I will go with Francis Ngannou only because I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. But I would not be surprised at all if Rosenstrike were to put hands on him.
I see. I listened to a little bit of Rosen. I've looked up a little bit about Rosenstrike so far. So I've seen some of his fights and seen how well he's done to some extent. But like at the end of the day, bro, I'm gonna have to go with Ngannou. It can go either way. I ain't gonna hold you. It can go either way just because of like the power punching that's gonna be in that ring. I'll put it like this: it's not like Rosenstrike is like Dada 5,000 or something like that.
No,
Like,
nowhere near.
like, it's not like that. It's not like that when he fought Kimbo Slice or something. But like, I gotta go with Francis Ngannou. Like he has too much power. Like he has too much power, and I think now he's kind of got his bearings back because after that Stipe fight, it took him. I think it was more of a mental thing of him being willing to actually exchange with somebody again. Next fight though, I'm very interested. I'm interested to see who y'all got. Cejudo versus Cruz.
Oh man! All right, Lau, go ahead.
I gotta go. I gotta go with Dominic. I have to. I gotta go with Dominic, man. I have to. And Cejudo, man, he has that old school Mexican style, just walk forward and adjust, and I love that. But Dominic, man, I mean, I want to believe he had an off night against Cody Garbrandt. Yes, Cody took him to school, but that was like Dominic's off night. You know what I mean? And I feel like
I just got some shit to say.
I feel
I
like
do.
Cejudo Cejudo can
You
wrestle.
praying right now? God.
Cejudo can wrestle, but Dominic can wrestle as well. Cejudo's striking is not good as Dominic, and I don't know if he'll be able to even catch Dominic because Dominic is too damn fast and he avoids a lot of strikes. Cody Garbrandt, no, Cody Garbrandt. A lot of people forget, or at least some people, he was a Golden Gloves champion, so he actually can box for real.
Oh, he was a Golden Gloves?
Yeah, yep,
I
Golden
ain't know
Gloves.
that.
And he used to wrestle in high school as well. So Cody Garbrandt is not a joke of a fighter at all. The only thing with him is just I thought he was just too inexperienced, but it just goes to show, he really had it. But
Plus, you got to realize. Well, I was going to just say with that, you got to realize at that time he was training with Uriah Faber, and Uriah Faber was like really hell bent on figuring out how to beat Dominic. So he had Uriah Faber helping him out. He had what's bull name that got popped?
Uh,
The Snake, TJ
Yeah,
Dillashaw.
TJ Dillashaw. Like he had the at that time he
his whole
had
camp had
all
fought
that.
him.
Exactly. So he at that moment it's just kind of like what Manny Pacquiao versus the one bull. Like eventually you gonna we fight enough, I'm eventually gonna beat
Oh,
you. Or if I can,
Juan Manuel Marquez.
yeah, Marquez. Like
Yeah,
when he fought, like just like with that Marquez fight, like even if it's not you and I fighting each other every time, okay, I've seen enough people, I've coached enough people to fight you, and I've
yeah,
coached myself to fight you. That okay, this kid is young and he can probably he's more pliable than any of us are. So we
yeah.
can really teach him how to beat you, and he's always looked up to you.
Joseph
So
Benavidez, Uriah Faber, TJ Dillashaw, and then finally Cody Garbrandt came, and they're like, "All right, fourth time's the charm. You can actually get him this time, Cody."
And Cody, I feel like it was just like perfect timing, kind of like what Spence was saying. They're like, okay, we fought him enough, and we didn't have the enough skills to do it, but you do, and we could coach you through this. But with Cejudo though, Cejudo, he doesn't have the striking like Cody does. He definitely has the wrestling pedigree, right? Because he's the gold medalist.
right.
But the striking, he doesn't have it, and I think he's too slow, man. I see Dominic winning this fight by a really, hard fought decision. It's going to be like Faber and Cruz Part 2, where Faber was really close, but he just couldn't get it done.
So here's the thing, right?
Uh,
Lau knows I really like Dominic Cruz. Like I really like Dominic Cruz. He
Oh,
might
you
be in
about to
like
start you about to start leading with some you
the
starting with love secret
I'm
and with
start I-
hate.
I'm starting
yeah,
with love. So the thing is that with Dominic Cruz being out for so long, I'm not sure if he can pull magic off twice. Like he did this against TJ Dillashaw where he came off the injuries and he was able to get the belt. I'm not sure as he's getting older that he can do the same thing again. I want him to win. I don't want Henry Cejudo to win, but I think time is undefeated. I'm not sure if he can just come out of the long hiatus that he's had and just fight the way he's fought for his whole career. That is the thing. Like otherwise, he does have the skills to beat him. He's not the Dominic Cruz from WEC. He's not the Dominic Cruz that recently came into the UFC. After so many injuries and so many time, we will see where he's at as far as he's actually going to be in this fight. I think if he does happen to beat Henry Cejudo, retire. His body is breaking down. Like
I don't think he's gonna. So I think he'll beat Henry, but so let's say he actually does. I think he wants that Cody Garbrandt rematch because he's talked about that, and Cody is not looking hot either. He's on like a 3-fight KO losing streak.
Yes.
Yeah, I was
So
about to
so
say nope. I haven't even heard about him in a while, actually.
He
yeah,
got knocked
he was
out 3
actually
times in a row. That's why.
yeah,
Jesus, you're pretty
and
much in
so
the graveyard. Yo, you're smiling hard. Never seen you this excited. Last time I saw you this happy talking about someone getting knocked out was when Silva lost.
The
Like,
thing is, I got no reason not to like him. Like he's just real cocky. It just comes off a certain way. That's all.
I honestly, man, this is like my fight of the night, though. Like, I'm excited to see Cejudo and Cruz. I really
yeah,
am.
I
And
think. Uh,
and I think like this potentially could be fight of the night just because there are two styles.
yeah, I mean, I can agree to that. I think this is probably going to be the fight that I'm looking the most forward to. Like, of course, you have Justin Gaethje and Ferguson,
Yeah,
which I think I'm less worried. Well, I'll save my opinion about that when we get to it. But I think this would probably be the fight I'm more interested in because one, I'm taking Cruz just to let you know, but like one because though Cruz has had that layoff, like he apparently I was watching something just the other day. Apparently from a I think the past 4 fights or something he had, it's like there's like almost a year's time, at least a year, if not a little less than a year in between each fight. So he's used to, and I think this is like 16 months or something like that in
yeah,
this
it's been a minute.
case. Yeah, so like he's honestly used to it. And granted, like Nigel said, like Father Time does play a part. In this situation, you got to think about it. Father Time plays a part, but him not fighting also like doesn't tax his body as much. I have to just go. I'm going with Cruz. I would love to see how Cejudo does. I think it'd probably be more beneficial for Cejudo to win because he's much younger. He's younger and he can actually carry his career to help push his career more forward. But I have to go with Cruz. Plus, from what I'm hearing, I've heard a while ago. I think it was either DC or Joe Rogan that was talking about it because you know how Cruz is actually an announcer, right?
Right.
Yeah,
They're like he may have one of the best minds when it like
He's super
his
smart.
not yeah, when it comes to the fight, because I think it was Joe Rogan that was talking to him about it. And remind you, Joe Rogan's not a professional fighter, but he's competed and he's rolled. I think he's like a black belt at Taekwondo or some shit like.
and jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah, so like he's very knowledgeable at what he does. He's
Yeah,
probably one of
yeah,
the best announcers that they have. But even he said he was like, "Yo, I've worked with him, and he'll say something. He'll tell me like, oh, this is what's about to happen,' and it's literally like 3 or 4 moves ahead of like what's actually going on. So when you take his skill set along with the knowledge he has, and granted he's getting older, but his body still reserved some from not taking as much damage over those spans of time, those big gaps of time. I think Cruz may have this one. But then again, Henry Cejudo, he was a Olympic wrestler, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Gold medalist.
Yeah.
It's,
So
I
I
think he's like the youngest
really.
American to win a gold medal in freestyle wrestling.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so Henry Cejudo is wrestling. It's definitely in his world, but here's the thing with amateur wrestling versus MMA wrestling. It doesn't necessarily translate well if you don't know how to utilize it well. Because when he was fighting Demetrius Johnson, he was struggling with the wrestling.
He
Yeah.
was.
And some people thought Demetrius Johnson should have won the rematch. And a great person to use the example about amateur wrestling versus MMA wrestling, George St. Pierre, who
Yeah.
didn't know a lick of wrestling. He was coming off a karate background, and he's easily one of the best wrestlers in MMA.
I thought you were going to say Dan Henderson because he was an Olympic wrestler too, and he's not even known for that. He's known for that right hand.
Yeah, I mean that just goes to show. I forgot Dan Henderson was a wrestler. You know what I mean? Because
Olympic wrestler at that.
yeah,
It's crazy.
I didn't know he was Olympic level
Yep.
wrestler. The final fight of the night: Ferguson versus Gaethje. Who you with?
you want to start, Nigel?
So I think we're all going to go Ferguson on this one. But what I will say is that I think this fight is going to be a little difficult for Ferguson. I don't think he's just going to run through Gaethje. I think Gaethje, now that he's had a little bit more time to prepare, unlike when the fight was originally scheduled, I think that he'll be a little bit better for it. I think Justin Gaethje is good at hitting people, and I think Tony Ferguson gets hit a lot. And it just so happens that he's good at hitting people very hard. But I think that Tony Ferguson is more well-rounded and more skilled, should be able to win the fight, and I think he will be the one to fight Khabib.
I think Tony will win the fight. Instead of it being a second round smoking, I think he's going to get him in the fourth round now, just because of, piggyback off of what Nigel was saying. Justin Gaethje has more time to prepare now, so it's not like he's just coming off a short notice. So I don't think Justin Gaethje is going to win because Tony Ferguson is the better fighter all around. Even though Nigel said Tony gets hit a lot, Justin gets hit quite a bit too. And it's kind of like they both love not having a guard when it comes to strikes. And this is really going to come down to more or less of, conditioning in the fight, in my opinion. And I think Tony has much better conditioning than Justin, because Justin has a tendency to fade as each round is going on. As you could see from the fights that he did lose. I know a lot of people give Conor McGregor shit about, he's a one-round fighter, and which is, kind of not true, but he's not a 5-round fighter, but he's definitely not a 1-round fighter, though.
I can agree to that.
And I don't think Gaethje's a 5-round fighter either. And I don't want people to start breaking up, his World Series of fighting days. Yeah, when you're fighting lesser competition where it's like Michael Jordan, playing all 48 minutes against a bunch of college kids. He wouldn't, is he really going to break a sweat? You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, he'll sweat because his body's going through, all that cardio. But he could play all 48 minutes if he's going against a bunch of college kids. You know what I mean? Versus all elite NBA level talent. He's going to need to sit down and take a break. With Justin Gaethje, when he's fighting the elite level guys, you've seen, later rounds, he does fade. He gets hit a lot more, and he has a chance, just like Tony, to get knocked off his rocker. I think, if anything, Tony needs to treat this fight like it's a real title fight. If not, he'll never, ever get the chance to fight Khabib again. Because I think we all know Dana will do anything and everything he can in his power to make sure that Conor gets that rematch.
I can agree to that. I think one, he will make sure that Conor gets the rematch, but also he's probably just gonna. Dana also knows this fight is cursed. That fight between Khabib and Tony is completely cursed to the point where the world literally stopped moving. So the fight couldn't happen. So I think even in that sense, like, Tony needs to take the fight serious. I'm going with Tony on the fight also. I think Gaethje's gonna come, and he's not coming to play around. Like, he's been training since January, but it was primarily for Khabib. He's been training for a 5-round fight for like almost 5 to 6 months damn near. So at this point, I think he'll be able to last a lot longer in the later rounds.
Yeah.
It's more or less right now, over the past few weeks, is really just changing his strategy from fighting Khabib to fighting Tony, which I think it'll help him. But I think the biggest issue is going to be the pace that Tony can put on somebody. And Tony can put that pace on for 5 rounds straight. And him getting gassed when he's like fatigued, it's pretty much like where fighters are like, I need to take this round off. When he's fatigued, when fighters are fatigued and be like, I need to take the round off, that's pretty much Tony when he's like, I'm starting to feel the cardio. I'm starting to get a little winded. So versus that being other levels, like, this is where I capped out at. So I got to go with Tony. I think he's going to take the fight serious though. One, because like I said, that fight with him and Khabib has been cursed, and he knows more than likely if he doesn't fight, he probably won't get the fight again. For one, because Conor and Khabib will fight each other. Two, Dana probably is going to be like, dude, I'm not putting that fight on again. The whole fucking world stopped. Yeah. And then, then 3, the third reason I do believe he will try to fight, make sure he finishes this fight in the best of his ability, is he did a whole weight cut. He did like the weight cut when the fight was supposed to happen. Like, I think like a week or two ago, he did a whole weight cut just to say he can get down to 155. So
I wonder if that's going to hurt him.
I don't know. That's a good question.
You know, because peaking out early is not a good thing, and it can hurt
No.
fighters.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think when the weight cut in itself doesn't help either because now because to cut weight you're dehydrating your body. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out for him, like the impact that that's going to have. I'm hoping he's not like Deontay Wilder if he loses this fight, because like I don't know if y'all saw, but there was a phone call I listened to a Wilder probably about 2 weeks ago where he's still saying like it just wasn't me in that fight. Like I didn't lose that fight. It like
Oh my
He
god.
didn't.
yeah, yeah. He literally he said, and I don't want, bro, and I don't want to drift too far away from the 249, but like Wilder literally said, I didn't lose that fight, and he didn't beat me. It's very delusional, and he's really blaming like, oh, I wasn't myself, blah blah blah. So I'm hoping Tony doesn't use that same excuse if he was to lose this fight because of, oh, I shouldn't have did the weight cut or whatever the case may be. So hopefully Tony is able to like make it work. But speaking about college, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
What you were talking about earlier, Lau, about like like Michael Jordan playing against college basketball players. I don't know
Yeah.
if y'all saw, but apparently like 3 of the top 15 high schoolers, instead of going to college, they're going to the G League to play. What's your thoughts on that?
So I think is a smart move. So we had a conversation a while ago. Do you think college is for everybody? And this is like one of the perfect examples of this conversation, right? You have these kids who are doing one and dones. They're just signing up to these top schools just to play 1 year of collegiate basketball and then going right into the NBA draft. Or they skip college and then go overseas and play for some European league or Chinese league. And I'm saying Chinese league because China, Chinese basketball is pretty popular over in the east side of the world. It's smart that the NBA is having their G League like, hey, top prospects out of high school, you come to us, we'll pay you, a good amount of money. You're not going to get no $1 million contract, right? Because you're G League, which is fair. But these kids are already making a whole lot more than they ever made in their life anyway, just going to the
Right.
G League alone. We're even going to pay for you to go to school if that's what you choose to do. If not, that's okay. You're going to come to the G League. You're going to develop. And then, when it comes to draft time, if you're really that good, you could still get drafted. Or, you could get picked up during free agency period or before the trade deadline, yada yada, blah 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 blah. And I think that's good because one of the biggest things was the NCAA, and we're just talking specifically basketball for right now,
Right.
is a lot of these college kids, millions are being made off of their name, and they can't make a dime off of it. Not only from the college, but from third parties. Now I know because light of this G League thing, which I think is fantastic, the NCAA came out, oh, well, kids can now get paid through third party things. And to me, that's not going to save the kid from going to the G League over NCAA because they're going to like, I could still get sponsorships and do third party things, and the NBA is still going to pay me. While the NCAA, I'm still not going to get paid from them, but I'm allowed to have outside income. And it's monitored too. So it's not like it's freedom of whatever. So I think the NBA G League is setting the tone, and I think it's great that they're doing that. And I think kids who are like, look, I don't want to go to college to learn. I'm only doing it for school. Definitely look into joining the NBA G League because you're already playing with NBA level talent at that point. And if you're that damn good, like let's say you're Zion Williamson, right? You're going to get picked up in a heartbeat to join, to be drafted into the NBA.
Yeah. I think I agree a lot with what you said because I think just being able to make money off of who you are is going to be something special in itself for these kids because most college athletes that are like high level college athletes, they come from a lot of them come from circumstances where they can't afford, they don't know how, they'll say, oh, I don't know what I'm going to be able to afford in
Yeah.
terms of eating, school supplies, clothes, whatever, what have you. But yeah, I'm just using this as a broad statement for college athletes in general. Like, but a lot of them will say like, "Oh, I was dead broke during college, but the school made money off of me, and they just said, "Oh, well, we're giving you a free education, and that's it." Now, in this situation, like you said, you got G League players that they're able to make money off of who they are, off their name. Like these kids are coming out of high school making six figures,
Yeah.
playing basketball. You realize like, hey, I can make money off my name. I'm only trying to be in the league I'm only trying to play for a year. Two, I think, granted, I do believe when you play in high school, you are not high school, but in college that 1 year, you're playing against some high level talent in terms
Yeah.
of like and NCAA in certain aspects. But I do believe coming straight out of high school, it has some good there are some pros and cons to it, but like one pro of it is like you get to play against other guys that are professional. Some guys don't make it to the league and that's just their stream of income
Right.
until like this is all over with till it's all over with for them. You also have those moments where these kids can actually find like, oh, that's such and such. That's this kid. He's such and such or whatever. Like he's gonna be a star. Like you look at LaMelo. Something happened with him in high school, so he left high school to go play overseas. And
Yeah.
like he's been doing decently well for himself, I do believe. I don't know. There was something in the news about him recently, about the Ball brothers recently. I forget what it was though. Like you see, like they're able to actually make some money off. Like he's making money off who he is, being definitely when you're in high school and you're the top 15 player in the world. People like there's money being made off you already that you don't even know about, but coming in and going straight to G League, it gives them some time. Plus, I think it may be a viable option for other players. Like I think you're going to see like players that were overlooked in high school that say like, "Yo, I got the talent. I didn't get picked up to go to like a D1 college or a JUCO." Like or even the JUCO options just weren't like good options for them, but they know they can probably make some good money playing in the G League. You still get to play like a kid. Let's say a kid is maybe somewhere in the top 100 or like the lower tier of the top 100 players in the country. He can choose to go to college, and maybe he knows, oh, I'm doing this, and if I go to the league, cool. If I don't, cool. But you have other kids that are like, yo, just because I'm number 101 in the country doesn't mean anything. Like I know I'm better than a lot of these dudes. So going into the G League, they're able to get that certain player development that can actually probably help promote them into the league, because I think the more high school players that decide to go to the G League is going to shed more light on the G League overall. I think people will become more interested in watching the G League because it's going to, not now, but eventually, maybe it might take 10 years, but it may end up becoming like the new NCAA. Like,
To your point, with people going to be watching it, I think if you have the number one prospects coming out of high school going straight to the G League, you're going to see a bunch of people tuning into the G League right away. Now, of course, the NCAA is bigger than the G League itself, but people who play in the NCAA, what's their main goal? To get to the NBA, and the NBA owns the G League. So I think like college is always going to be there, right? Because they have that foundation. And I feel like what you're going to start seeing now is you're going to see a lot of D2, D3 athletes starting to become on these D1 teams, because the D1 level athletes, they're going to be like, well, fuck this. I'm going to go to the G League. The G League it's not like college where they get a bunch of players. They're only going to be recruiting like the top of the top prospects. So, for example, let's say that the G League thing started like 2 years ago. The guys that just got drafted, like R.J. Barrett, Zion Williamson, even you could even say like Kobe White, who plays on the Chicago Bulls, we would have seen them in the G League.
that would have been crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like from the guys who got drafted in the second round and stuff like that, or maybe even like late first round picks, the best bet might have been like, hey, go to college, because maybe the NBA doesn't think they're going to be money makers yet. You know what I mean? Not saying they're not saying they won't be good players, right? But it's because hey, we don't think that you're ready for the G League yet. Go play some amateur basketball in college first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So So the G League is not going to be, hey, all high school kids come. No, it's going to be like, hey, you're that damn good, like LeBron, Kevin Garnett, good.
Yeah.
Come to the G League now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I ain't even
Yeah.
gonna hold you though. Like even like the player, yeah, honestly, even like a player that may say like, "Hey," like you have some players that will realize at some point moment or question whether or not they're good enough to make it in the league, and they go
Yeah.
play in the G League, and like, and these are high school players, of course. Like if the G League starts telling kids like, "Hey, I'll give you a salary. You can go to college. We'll cover your college."
Yeah.
You'll start having some players that realize like, "Hey, I may never make it to the pros, the NBA, but I can always say, well, I'm gonna play here I'm gonna play for this G League team for 4 years,
Yep.
and I'm gonna go get my college education I'm gonna get my college education for free while
Yep.
making maybe let's say on the low, let's say on a certain end of like I'm making 70, 80,000 dollars a year to play basketball. I'm only 19 years old, and I'm
Yeah.
going. They're paying for my college, so I think that's also an option. I think the only my biggest concern is making sure you don't have like some of these players that make a living off of living playing in the G League, like the older guys that choose to try to make a point to these kids that it's a difference and possibly hurt one of them. But I don't think that really is going to happen. I think that's more of competition.
Yeah.
So
And the G League is really good. You got people like, for example, Sean Livingston from the Golden State Warriors.
right,
He came from the G League. Look at him now. He's a 3-time NBA
really,
champion. Yeah. The head coach of the Toronto Raptors. They just won the NBA title. He's a coach from the G League.
really,
And
didn't know that.
yeah, and he won a title in the G League. So good players come out of the G League, and now they're making G League a top prospect place is going to make it. It's going to bring a lot more attention, and the narrative will be a lot bigger now for the G League. Now you're going to get some players who can't cut it in the NBA. That's going to be in the G League for a while, but that's okay though. Not everybody is NBA level, let alone elite. But
Right.
Nigel, what's your thoughts on this? Because you've been pretty quiet, picking your nose throughout the whole time.
I think that no matter what, the league, the NBA is always going to be looking for the best players in order to get into the league. So, regardless of where they go, whether it be college or the G League, I think that they'll be fine. I think that NCAA has to fix the way they've been doing things, and they just got to restructure. I think that them giving players money and compensation for their likenesses is a great start, but at the same point in time, like they need to start actually paying some of these kids. Like they can't just have them being broke or struggling for lunch and then going to play in a tournament later on in the night. Like that just seems kind of ridiculous. I don't understand as to how that could even be a thing still, but I think that it's a good move for them, the students at least, or I should say the younger players. I think it'll be great for them, and I think it'll be great for a transition to the NBA. The only people who are really being hurt is the NCAA, and that's because of their own doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that. I agree with you. This is pretty much I forget what the saying is, but it's like I think it's like the hens came home to roost or some shit like that, where like people have been putting this pressure on them like for the past decade especially. And I think they did. I remember they had changed something where like college athletes were able to get more meals during the day, which to me sounded crazy. And that was like, hey, I'm doing you a favor. They lost a lawsuit. I think probably about 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, for because they were using college players likenesses
Oh,
on
you
the
on a
game.
yeah on the games, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why they
So
stopped making them.
yeah, and like
Yeah,
so like even then like I think that is like some sense of admission of guilt where they know, hey, we should be paying these guys, but they'll sue us. So let's just stop making the game in general. So that lets you know they should be getting money from it. So I say like this: get your bag, man. Get your
Yeah,
money.
do however you can.
Exactly.
do
Like
you
get your
think this is
money.
gonna follow suit with football?
It's a different with football because there's no league to really lead them into the sport, you know. So it's just like college, NFL,
Oh, they
possibly.
know.
Well, I mean, yeah, like you got arena football, like well, actually, no, arena football recently stopped. They stopped their operations, if I'm not mistaken. They can go to like the Canadian Football League. The XFL was supposed to be a good way for certain people to who couldn't make it in the league to actually possibly transition back into the league. I think without that middle or transition league, I should say,
Yeah.
I think that it would be a little different for college football players. But I think that the NFL should think about possibly making maybe like a developmental league. Exactly.
Yeah. I think it would be good. Like, I mean, I think the NFL's developmental league was like back in the day when they had, because you remember when they used to have European football teams.
Yeah.
So I think that was their developmental league at one moment in time. Um, but even then, I don't think it's going. I think it won't unless there is a developmental league for NFL players. It wouldn't be smart to go into the CFL or any other football arena because any football space because it's a different type of game. It's more physical and you putting I don't care I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. You're not taking it's very hard for me to take a 18-year-old kid fresh out of high school and match him up against some 31-year-old kid, some 31-year-old guy. Like imagine some kid being one of the best receivers in the country, right?
Yeah.
And sitting across from him is Ray Lewis at 29. Like,
No, I agree with you 100%. After high school, they need to be groomed, whether it's college or some type of league that bridges the gap between the professionals. Like, I agree with you because you're not the top high school prospect straight out of high school going into the league. They're going to get hurt.
exactly. Exactly. Like you only have rare cases where that makes sense. And even then, like even with college football, I think it's what, a 3-year minimum?
Yep, 3-year minimum.
Yeah, because there was a moment in time where you could go straight. There was a moment in time, I think it was 1 year college, and then you could go to the league. But eventually they changed it to 3 years, and I think they were hoping that the NCAA would transition from, because you know how they transition from high school to 1 year of college. They were hoping they were going to make it like 3 or 4, like a player had to do at least 4 years of college. I don't think it'd be wise for the NFL. Like I think the only sports you really have where you can go out straight out of high school or 1 year and then high school is like outside of is really almost every sport except for football, I believe. Soccer, because you can be in high school, you can be like there's people that are sophomores in high school that are pro soccer players. You can go pro while you're a kid in tennis, golf,
Wrestling, you could do well.
Yeah,
you can
Yeah.
straight out. Well, if you're wrestling, you're probably going to go to college and then move to different type of arenas from there. Like you'll probably be like a collegiate Division I wrestler, and then you'll try to go to the Olympics more or less,
yeah,
or just like make your rounds. Let's just say.
yeah. And plus, I think for wrestling, I'm not gonna say they don't get any money, but wrestling is way different than other like professional sports.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't like at the end of the day, and like because I used to wrestle, so I try to watch wrestling when I get the chance or whenever, and like even like I see some of the kids like on Flow Wrestling, like they're like top talent, and for them the next step after college is now it's becoming more common now, but the options really are either try to go in the Olympics or go into like maybe mixed martial arts.
Yep, MMA.
Yeah, before it was just the Olympics because what was his name? Phil
Davis.
Jackson?
Phil
Oh,
Davis.
I said Phil
Yeah.
Jackson.
Yeah.
The coach is out there kicking people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Phil
exactly what I was
Davis,
thinking of though. But yeah, like I think Phil Davis was like one of the first college wrestlers to go from wrestling in college straight to MMA.
Yeah.
It didn't work out for him, but it didn't work out for him to say the least. But I know he was able to make a decent living off of it for the most part.
Even when college wrestlers don't necessarily become like the next top fighter, a lot of times they'll be like coaches at gyms, like really doing wrestling drills with the wrestlers, like teaching them, because who knows wrestling better than some of the top wrestlers? I don't want to say in the world, but at least in the sport in America. Like,
Yeah,
so I think that there for MMA, it's usually a good step for wrestlers. Even you'll see it with a lot of people, and not only that, with the sport of MMA, I feel that MMA, I feel that wrestling translates well because you can dictate the fights a lot of the time if you're a wrestler. Like if you're not winning on the feet, take somebody down, try to work them on the ground, and if you can't do that, then you see what happens.
exactly. Plus, like, to me, I look at someone like, to me, the person I look at the most is like Jordan Burroughs, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
Like, I'm
he's
not.
nice, super nice.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I actually, funny enough, when I was in high school, it was Jordan Burroughs and I think his name was like Coverdale or Caldwell. Like they were two like top wrestlers out of Jersey at the time. But one of my teammates actually used to train with them.
Mm.
And my teammate, he was like one of the top, I think he was one of the top wrestlers. Like I know he's like one of the top wrestlers in the state, but I think he was one of the top wrestlers in the Northeast at the time. Um his dad never mind. His dad sold you a car. Or tried to.
Hold on, wait.
Yeah.
That's
His
not
yeah, his son was my coach at one moment in time.
time out. I'm about to cut this shit out. So explain your story so I can just know exactly what you're saying.
Oh nah. What I was talking about was his dad is the guy that sold you was trying to sell you the car.
What are you talking about?
You remember when you was trying to get a car and you were pre-approved for the loan and all of that, and you was dealing with I forget his name. I forget what Mr. Jones' name is, but the guy was trying to sell your car, and he was like, "Well, how much money you got to spend?" And he was like, "Well, I'm just looking for."
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he said some wild shit, and I was like, nah, like I'm good, man. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was his dad.
Shit's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's a small world. Yeah,
Shit.
that was his father, yo. But I knew someone that actually was a teammate of Jordan Burroughs or whatever, or worked with him. So like even him being a top athlete, he he makes good money now, but he had to like really work his ass off for it in comparison to like who knows what would have happened if he tried to become a professional wrestler to say the least. But yeah, I think for the most part, I think that's pretty much it for the week, honestly. We all agree.
Yeah.
You got anything to say, La?
Uh, for like our goodbyes or just
Yes.
or you?
Yes,
No,
for the
Oh,
goodbyes.
he was about to give you a 16, like yo.
Hey yo, boom boom. No, but everybody, as per usual, just stay safe. I'm gonna get through this. I don't know how much longer this whole lockdown is gonna happen for our state,
18
and,
months.
and I don't know how. Man, that would suck. I don't know how much longer. We gotta deal with this. I'm hearing that there may be a phase two where we're gonna have to go back into this, which will suck.
Because people don't
Um,
want to stay in the house.
yeah. So, but everybody stay safe. Continue to save money. It's okay to spend a little bit of money, but you don't need to be spending hundreds and thousands of dollars, because you're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything.
Hey,
So,
hey, hey, yo, listen. That 1,200 that you got, go buy that Chanel bag. That 1,200 that you got, because I know if you got kids, I know you got an extra 500 with each child. You know what I'm saying? Go buy them Gucci sneakers. You know what I'm saying? Go get the Balenci's, dripped
yeah,
up in designer. What what did 2 Chainz say? I get fresh just to sit in the living room. Now you got a chance to live those rhymes. Let life imitate that art. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what Loud talking about. I'm sorry, bro. Let them people
that
ball out. Let them
that was me
mismanage
trying
the
to
money.
be that was me trying to be PC, politically correct. But really, I'm gonna tell. You know how I'm gonna tell, bitch. I'm gonna go ahead and tell. Make sure you get that motherfucker back to me tonight. Hang the fucking phone up while I'm talking too, bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm Mister Ooh Ooh Ooh.
Yo. What my man say? What my guy say? Listen, I ain't even really all for bitches all being on the mic. You know what I'm saying? Looking all around, looking at pimps. You know what I'm saying? Bitch, you out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? You trying to explore, ho? You know what I'm saying? If you trying to explore another level of this pimping I got for you. You know,
He's like,
you
what you
know what I'm
need to
saying?
keep on is like, what type of shoes the motherfucker got on?
Yeah.
These Gators.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He was like, yeah, he's like, she'll tell you what type of shoes he got on, but she ain't gonna tell you how the motherfucker look.
Yo, what movie? A movie that you guys should really watch is The Mac.
Which the Mac.
The classic with Goldie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with Goldie. Yeah, man, that movie's a classic.
it really is. That no lie, that is probably a funny ass movie, man.
Yeah,
Like
it's not meant to be funny though.
yeah, he's like, I mean, we can do this. Either we can do this like pimps, or we can do this like players, or we can get into some gangster
The
shit.
gangster
Listen,
shit, yeah.
listen, your bitch chose me, man. It's
Yeah.
like I'll never forget when he was talking to what was his name? The comedian.
Oh, Richard Pryor.
Yeah, Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
He was talking to Richard Pryor, and he was like, "That was 17, right? Then that was 32 for that hoe. Then it was 45 from that bitch, right? Yeah." He's like, "What's that? 20,000?" Yeah. He's like, "Oh, all right." He's like, "Pippin, my Pippin's on a different level than yours, man." You know what I'm saying? Like that. It's some classic pimp movies. Willie Dynamite is also another one to check out.
Oh God.
I'm
You
trying to
got
make it real to you, Willie. It's like I just think if my stable's the best, I shouldn't be breaking bread with none of y'all. I got some of the baddest bitches in town. I feel yo, that's a really good movie, bro.
you
It's
got
a really
anything to
good.
say, Spence?
Um, only thing I got to say is stay safe. Don't be too dangerous. Don't be like my man's outside with the strap on him with the AR. Pick it in. Stay in the house. And, read a little bit. Like I just picked up 50 Cent's new book. It came in this morning, so I'll probably start digging into that later this week after the semester's done. So, you know what I'm saying? Invest stocks and bonds, you know what I'm saying? Wu-Tang forever. And yeah, that's all I got.
Buy some oil. Like if you're gonna buy some stocks, buying some oil right now for everybody starts getting on planes, getting on cruises, driving their cars. Everything's dirt cheap. Buying to Disney. You
You saw
know,
you saw where they said I didn't read the whole article, but apparently they believe that oil industry is going to lose like $1 trillion this year.
don't buy no oil. Don't do that. Please. Nah, I bought a little bit of oil and I'm making money right now, but I might sell soon too though. So I don't know. We'll see.
Bro, what I be telling you about that, bro? Listen, when you invest, you gotta invest for the long term, bro. Like, don't I'm gonna tell people right now, this is just something I personally do. I can't give nobody advice because I'm not legally allowed to at the moment. But I will definitely say this. If you're gonna invest unless depending on what the situation is, I guess. But always invest for the long term and don't invest in listen, if you're going to invest short term, at least let it be a year so you can avoid like certain tax laws in terms of like capital gains tax because you get taxed at a capital gains tax is different than like getting your returns being taxed at a return at your income level. So I hey, who knows? Someone on here may be worth a cool X amount of dollars and probably in a high end tax bracket. You should know if you don't know. You're gonna be taxed heavily, so hold it for a year. It give you some money down the line. It save you some money down the line, and some other things I can tell you, but I ain't really gonna go too deep into it. I got a paper to write.
All right, with that, we're gonna be done. Everybody have a good week. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see y'all next time.
Sure,
Boom,
you've
boom,
been
boom, boom.
highly advised. You've been highly advised.
Hey, yo.